Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name's Soleil and I garden in a zone 5B in mid-Michigan, and today we're going to do a walkabout and garden tour. This will be our second one so far this year, and I'm excited to take you around and show you a little bit about what's growing on. So here we have our plants that we potted up just recently. We have our little violas and we've got some buds that are coming on. Tonight we are going to get down to about freezing. Tomorrow is going to be our coldest temperature for quite some time. It's going to get down to about 22 overnight, which means I'm going to have to really take some extra precautions with my plants, get out some frost cloth and put things in the mini greenhouse, etc., to make sure that they live. We've got some lilies that are coming up, some daylilies. Those are the white ones. And my clematis are actually starting to put some buds out as well. Here is my little table that I have some of my violas on, and some of them are starting to bloom, which is super fun. And my little Hertz shrubs are growing on there. So we'll see how those are doing. Probably in about, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks, we might start to see a little bit of green growth on those. And then back here we have our catmint. This is the Nepeta. This is Persian blue, P-U-R-R, like the cat, and it actually has some really beautiful colors of purple in the leaves right now, in addition to that minty green. And we've got 5 different ones in here. We have both the cat's pajama as well as the Persian blue. And then we have some more of those daylilies in here that are starting to come up, and those are going to bloom white. I do not know what kind they are, but they're beautiful and they smell good too. Our service berries, I see some nice buds on them, and these trellises did work to protect them throughout the winter, so that has been fantastic. And you can see we're really starting to get some growth on these irises now. They're probably about 5 or 6 inches tall, so that's pretty cool. And all of these Virginias are still looking really pretty along the edge here. It won't be long though that some of the leaves will begin crisping up. You'll see some of these have brown on the edges, and so we'll have to come through and take those out. They just require a little bit of a trim every season. The veggie garden is looking pretty good. I moved all of my onions that were over winter right into this one spot so that I'll be able to start harvesting some green onions off the top soon. That will be lovely to have some fresh veggies. And I planted some sweet peas at the base of this trellis, so hopefully those will come up. And you can see over here we have some buds on our daffodils, which we're seeing kind of all over the garden. I think this one is probably the most, or the furthest along at this point. It is almost starting to open, but I am not going to be sad if they wait a little while longer, because like I said, tomorrow night we're going to get that super duper cold, and that will be a bit on freshly open flowers, so it'll be nice if they hang out until just after that. So I have come through and done some fertilizing. I went through with holly tone for all of my hydrangeas and some flower tone, or just like a general purpose type for my clematis and for my flowering shrubs and my flowering perennials, etc. I do have a little bit more to do because it definitely takes quite a bit of fertilization for my garden. I just do it usually once a year. But I also want to make sure that I get my azaleas and rhododendrons especially. So this clematis is looking really good. In this garden you can also see we have some Nepeta that is starting to bud up here, as well as our foxglove that are very nice light limey green here, in contrast to our blue green of the daffodils. And we can see this daisy right here, which is starting to push some new growth as well. All along the edges you see some dianthus, which is greening up, and definitely the phlox. We have patches of phlox back here, and those are greening up. I do need to come through still and trim off these. These are a coralberry shrub, so I have not done that yet. Along here, this garden bed, I'm really excited because I haven't had any daffodils in this bed in the past, and this last fall I planted a whole bunch in here, so I'm thrilled to see how many of them are coming up. It should be a very beautiful, cheery spring garden soon. And we have the geranium macrorrhizum right here that is starting to green up. Those are all starting to put out some nice new growth. It's back there behind the arborvitaes as well. And I do like these cages with these hydrangeas, so I think those are going to be great this year. We can see that the lungwort, or the pulmonaria, is just starting to put out some new growth in here. Very, very small. So we're keeping it kind of hidden in here until after those really cold temperatures, and then I think it's really going to explode with some growth after that, because we're going to be in like the 40s and 50s and, you know, not in freezing overnight. We have some pretty crocuses here. Some that look like the squirrels planted in between these stones, and the other ones that I actually did place in there. And those look really pretty. And then in this garden bed, we still have those same pulmonarias coming up, just very, very small. And we still have the mess of the Japanese ferns that is back here. But that's really doing a nice job of protecting and composting down, and the ferns will really love that organic material. So you can definitely see from here that the garden is starting to look just a little bit greener. Just a teeny bit. Now before we go back to the woodland garden, let me take you and show you the half moon garden here. It is just about time for us to trim the butterfly bushes because they are starting to put on some new growth, and I'll show you what that looks like. Not all of the branches have it yet, but you can see down here that things are really starting to perk up, so we'll have to be cutting these branches back soon. And then we have some daffodils that are coming up in this garden bed, as well as some hyacinths. So all along in here, these are the hyacinths that are getting ready to come out. And you can see, if you look really closely down in the middle, you can see the buds. And then we have some burgundy glow ajuga along in this garden bed as well. And these green blobs are penstemon. These are the Red Riding Hood penstemon, and absolutely gorgeous. Got those last year. They stay pretty much evergreen for me, which is really interesting in such a cold zone. And the boxwoods are looking great. Now I do have some, oh gosh, what do you call this? Lady's mantle. In here I have 3 that I planted at the end of the year last year, and they look like they're going to have some nice new growth starting up soon, so we'll have to get those cleaned up. And again, on this side we have kind of a matching row, if you will, of hyacinths as well in this garden bed that will be coming up soon too. Now I did plant some snowdrops. I planted them along the fence line back here, quite a few of them, and I have not seen any of them come up, so I'm not sure exactly what happened to them, but we will definitely be trying again this fall because I do think they are so pretty and provide such a lovely foil for the winter and bring on that spring cheer when you need it the most. We've got some scabiosa along the edges of this garden bed that is starting to green up. And this Piers, this is the type of plant that I'm growing from seeds that I've showed you in my seedling room. I just simply collected the seeds after these buds flower in the spring. They create seeds, and then I left them over the winter time and collected them, and they worked. We have just a couple of blooms that are finishing up on this Gelena witch hazel right now. And its buds are getting very beautiful. I don't know if you can tell, but they are like a white, fuzzy covering, and they're just so soft and so pretty. I cannot wait to see that grow on this year. Such a lovely addition to any garden. It gets about 15 feet tall and is really more of a type of a shrub form, small tree, but absolutely gorgeous. We do have some more hyacinths in this garden bed also that are going to be coming up. And then we have the Hellebores, which if they can just hold on, you know, 2 more days before they open up, I think they'll be much happier, but they're definitely right on the cusp of opening. Aren't those gorgeous? So pretty. I got those last year and I was so excited to get them. I'd never seen them at a big box store before, but Lowe's had them and they were actually on sale. So I think I got them for like $15 a piece. Such a steal. The rhododendrons are looking good back here. They have buds up on them. I do need to come through still and clip back my Haconachloa grass here because it's looking a bit messy. I got most of it, but not in this particular area. And along here I am seeing that there is some new growth on the heucheras if you look closely, in the tiarellas. And it's kind of hiding down in there. But that means we're going to need to come through and do some trimming on the old growth to get that out of the way for this new growth to start coming in. And over here we have, let me see, is this the pretty in pink lungwort? I believe that's what it's called. And these, you can see the blooms just inside being protected by the leaves. So these are all getting ready to come up as well. And then scattered in between them, we also have some daffodils. So I think that's going to be really, really beautiful seeing this spring. I just love the color of those flowers. Now the Virginia does also bloom, so we'll see what we get. I transplanted these a couple of years ago to this spot, and I haven't seen much in the way of blooms, and I think it's partly because it's so shady here, but we'll see. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on them. Also, I just want to pop my head over the fence here so you can see. You see that beautiful hellebore there? I hope you can see it. Anyways, it's gorgeous. That's one of the full-size ones that I have back there. And we've got lots of things that are growing back on the hill. And that's my berm. For those of you who don't know, when I refer to my berm and where I take some of my compost pile, that's where it goes because it's helping to allow me a little bit better access to be able to garden on that steep slope back there. So this hellebore right here has been here for 2 years. So hopefully next year we'll start getting some blooms on this guy. I was really hoping maybe this year we'd get some, but no such luck. So I think next year is going to be the year. I haven't seen any of the Brunnera come up yet, but we do have some spring phlox in here. This is, I think, called Blue Moon. And this will have beautiful light periwinkle blue flowers, and I'm just so excited about that. I do also have some bulbs in here. I think those are foxtail lilies that I planted last year, so we'll see if those come up. They're definitely starting to. I've been through here cleaning up my foxgloves, and they're looking really nice now. They were looking a bit bedraggled, so I just cleaned up the outer leaves because they look basically like lettuce going bad in the fridge. But now that those are cleaned up, they look fresh and springy, don't they? And we got some daffodils in this bed as well that are going to come up, which will look absolutely gorgeous. And then over here, we have some different colored foliage coming up. This is Jacob's Ladder, the, what do you call it? I think it's called Stairway to Heaven. Let me look. I could be wrong. Heaven Sent, my bad. Stairway to Heaven's a song that we all probably know and love. Anyways, that one's coming up. It's got some really dark, almost black foliage, and is flanked on either side by some gorgeous red maroon foliage from some tulips that are coming up. And there's daffodils all in this bed. and some more tulips that are back behind this hydrangea. So there should be lots of spring blooms there. And then this garden bed back here, we also did not have any daffodils in last year, but we've got some here, back in here, and up front as well. So that's going to be great. So much more spring cheer this year. It's really worth it after you go to all that trouble in the fall. We have this cage covering up a whole slew of tulips, 3 clumps of them. I usually get the Darwin hybrid type tulips. They have a tendency to come back pretty well for me. And here we have some banana cream daisies and the mega caramel heuchera. Then if we come up front, I believe we have some scilla coming up here. That is what this is right here with the blue bud, along with some tulips and some more tulips over here. And then I also cleaned up the foxglove in this back border, so it's looking rather bright and limey right up against that Piers. And I will have to come through and clean up the heuchera in this garden bed, but I'm seeing plenty of daffodils coming up in here as well, so that will be gorgeous. In this garden bed, it seems that we have something digging at our tulips. You can see we have some tulip tops that have been either chewed or broken off. I'm not sure which. But so we'll see how many I actually get in the end, because some of them I can protect and others I can't. But this garden bed has some nice daffodils right along the front. And then we did put some tulips in the center of this garden bed. And the catchfly that is variegated is still really stunning. It's got a nice pop of that cream and limey green. That's pretty foliage, and it really has stayed pretty evergreen all winter long for me. Now here are the Piers from which I took the seeds that I've been growing the seedlings from. Aren't they pretty? The buds are just starting to open up, so they get this gorgeous red tint on them. And gosh, I mean, that's just such a pretty plant. It's so unique. There's not a whole lot of other plants like it. And at the end of the season, it will grow these seed pods right here, and that's pretty much what I collected, was just these pods, and then you break them open and they have really, really tiny seeds inside. So yeah, these mahogany monsters and red rover type heucheras in here, we're gonna have to clean those up. I did come through and clean up the foxglove that are in this part of the bed as well, so they look a lot better. So much better. And I mean, it still does look like a spring garden, right? That's waking up from winter, for sure. But definitely a lot more fun to look at this point. I think I'm going to get some beautiful blooms on my redwood this year. So I can't wait to see what that looks like. Over here we have lots of tulips in this bed. Just a whole slew of them. So I'm hoping we get quite a few of them to actually bloom for us. Some of them have these deep dark purple foliage that you can hardly see against the mulch that turns a little bit more green as it grows on. And then you see some that are fully green already. All of the hydrangeas are pruned. I still haven't pruned all of my roses yet. We have another daisy here. And you can see the sedum is really starting to find its way through after the old growth has been cut back. We have another daisy here. These I added last fall. And you can tell this butterfly bush is really happy and putting on lots of growth right now, so I definitely need to get that trimmed soon. 2 days and I'll probably get out here and do a whole lot of stuff. Another daisy here and lots of tulips being protected by these cloches. And this rose is still looking pretty good, so we'll see what happens after we get this really, really cold night, because I do see the little red buds all along the stems of the fresh leaves that are planning to come out. Lots more tulips and daffodils in here. And you can see, like on this heuchera, the new growth in the center. So we'll need to trim away those leaves that are on the outside. And we can see lots of the mums coming up from underneath. Now it's hard to tell back in here, but there are spots of green, and those are some of the samurai pulmonaria that are like a really pretty minty green. And then we have color in this spot. The heucheras and the mophead cypresses do hold their color really well throughout the cold months. And they definitely have gotten a little bit brighter recently because they're starting to put on some new growth. But we'll have to come in here and spend some time cutting back the old growth and determining which ones need to be replanted deeper and that kind of thing. Now I'm loving how the blue spruce sedum is filling in around these rocks. Isn't that gorgeous? This one has it really well too here. I just think that looks so pretty. That's just exactly what I wanted it to be doing. So I'm thrilled with it. I haven't gotten to these back here yet. Those are more foxgloves. You can tell what they look like when they aren't cut back. They kind of look messy, for sure. And I'm seeing buds starting on this hydrangea, so it needs to hold off again just a couple of days for me. And then back here we have the luminary phlox. I think those are called the ultraviolet. Ultraviolet? I think that's what they're called. They're really, really pretty and stunning. Such a deep, deep, vibrant purple. And again, lots of daffodils coming up, lots of alliums. The millennium alliums are coming up. Here are a couple of foxgloves over here that still need to be trimmed up. You can see how they look kind of sloppy and messy. And then we have our Globemaster alliums coming up back here, as well as some daffodils. And our tulip clumps are just looking fantastic. So those should be blooming. Let me take you real quick over to this other garden bed where we have some primula. So these primrose, 3 of them, this one that looks worse for the wear, this one and the one over there have been in the ground all winter. And then these are the 2 that I had potted up next to my Buddha, but I've got them in the ground to help protect them in this kind of protected area as they get down to such cold temperatures here. I really don't want to lose them. I have some more crocuses blooming right here. And I did get a pot of pansies at Costco. And look at my bunny grasses growing on great. And here's my bare root perennials. Those are looking good. Putting on some new growth. And after the super freeze that we have coming up tomorrow night, we should be good to go with putting those all into the ground. So they'll definitely be happy with that. We have some more beautiful little crocuses. And then in this area, we also have dwarf irises that are planted. They have not come up to bloom yet, but we see the foliage and more daffodils. I did end up doing a little cleanup in this area, and it looks so much better. I got this burning bush trimmed back about those 4 or 5 inches that I was talking about. So that's ready to go for the season. And unfortunately, the deer or rabbits or something came in and got this azalea, so I'm not sure if we'll get any blooms off of this one this year. But the one that is further back and was kind of hidden by the royal ferns is looking pretty good. And I did clean up those ferns, so this area is a bit empty, and I did clean up my PG hydrangea standard as well. And this azalea also had its tip snipped off as well by the deer. So maybe it'll be nice and bushy this year. Guess we'll look on the bright side of things, right? Just say that they trimmed it up for me. All right, now this garden bed is just full of daffodils. Sorry about that helicopter there. We are in a hospital flight path. Oh, you can see, look at this, you guys, we have a dwarf iris that is getting ready to bloom back there. See that deep purple color? Isn't that gorgeous? I love, love, love the purples and greens and the contrast that they provide. Oh, and we have another one over here. Let's take a closer look. This one's really blooming well. So stunning. So stunning. We don't have anything budding up on this crab apple yet. It's still just kind of hanging out and doing its thing, showing off its pretty red bark. But we do have some gorgeous daffodils at the base here, as well as a couple of tulips. And then along here we have the blue fescue grass. This is called True Blue. And we have that deep dark scallop, black scallop ajuga. And that's going to start pushing new growth soon, so that will be gorgeous. And this bed is chock full of all sorts of spring flowering bulbs, primarily daffodils, but definitely lots of them. And I did pop in a, is it called lemon jade sedum? Anyways, that's what's at the base here, so that's going to come up this year, which I think will be a nice bright pop against this elderberry shrub, which, if you can tell, is starting to put on some of its growth. So you can see those dark burgundy leaf tips starting to come out. So pretty. Now, a lot of people think that hollies are deer resistant because they're spiky, but they are not. I've caught deer out here eating on this, so since I put that repels all out, it's been doing better. So hopefully that stuff is working, but we'll see. Once I can spray the liquid fence, I usually feel a little bit more secure. The mailbox bed is looking all nice and tidied up, you guys. I got the clematis cleaned up over here, and then I did take a stem like I told you, and I layered it down across the bottom here, put some soil on top of it, and hopefully it will sprout and send up some blooms on this other trellis so we cover all of them. And we can see this bed is just busy, busy, busy and getting ready for spring with all of these daffodils coming up. And then we have lots of the little blue scilla. Some people don't like these because they self-seed all over the place. That's one of the reasons I love them, because they fill in and they look beautiful. Just look at that color. So cute. All right, let's take a look at the sunbed now. The sunbed is looking a little bit less full because we've done all of our cutbacks, but that has made room for lots of green growth to start coming up, you guys. I'm seeing some allium here, the summer blooming allium, the daffodils, the Schubertii allium, plenty of daffodils over here with the irises. cannot wait to see those new irises bloom this year. I'm excited for that. And then we have our purple sensation alliums starting to come up all along the path here. And the drumstick alliums. So many different little small patches of green happening. This is our dianthus. I can see that the rabbits have been eating these tulips out front here, but that's why I'm no longer planting them out here. Again, lots of nice clumps of the purple sensation alliums along here. They put a nice little circle around this weeping cherry tree. And I can see we have some that are really filling in this area. So I'll have to dig some of these up and transplant them this year to other places where I need them. And then last year we didn't have any daffodils on this side, but we've got several clumps of them this year. So lots more spring interest and spring blooms in this garden bed this year. I'm working on cleaning up the front porch area. It doesn't look great right now. It looks kind of devoid of anything interesting, but at least it's getting cleaned out, which means that then I can start to bring some things in this area. I am thinking about removing this toy box because I don't have as many toys of my son's in there anymore. So I think we can do some rearranging out front at some point, which would be really nice. We have some daffodils coming up in here, as well as an azalea that's going to bloom and some foxglove that is looking very nice and evergreen. And then I don't know if you can see, but back behind that bird bath, I have a volunteer Japanese maple. So I'm gonna have to do something about that. Luckily, they do not have very deep roots, so it won't harm the foundation, but I don't think I really wanna leave it in that corner. And then I also have another one that has come up down here. Now you'll notice this one has been, I don't know what happened to this one, but it should probably have to be clipped back. But anyways, that's a seedling from the giant maple that we have right here, the giant Japanese one there. So it's making lots of babies for me. We have some daffodils here. And again, we've been looking at these hellebores lately. We have some more that are coming up and budding up. That one's going to be a beautiful pink. These are still too young to bloom all right here. We've got some aging blooms on this one along with some newer ones, which come out pure white. And then down here, we have lots of new ones getting ready to bloom back here, 2 clumps with buds on. There's a clump back there. Some with new and old blooms. Another one up front here with new and old blooms. Just look how pure white these come out. Isn't that gorgeous? And then these are the ones I'm gonna divide, because look at that. Isn't that unique? I don't have any that look like that. So pretty with the speckles and that really, really light color. I love it. Let's see if maybe I can get 2 divisions off of that this year. We have this one that's starting to bloom now. Very soft pink color. And then another one with its beautiful little blooms dangling, getting ready to open up. And this is the biggest clump that I have. And we have another one back there that's a brand new clump that I divided last year. We have another one back here that is going to be blooming soon. And then a brand new, I don't know if you can hardly call this a clump because it's just one flower here right now. And then of course we have lots of daffodils on this end. And we can't have them further down into the bed because down there is too much shade for the daffodils. So we've got them on this end only. But they're looking pretty good. This bed, I still need to come in and do some trimming I need to trim up this PG hydrangea right here, and I need to trim these low growth fragrant sumacs back because I do want them to bush out a little bit more. They're coming very, very far forward, right to the edge of the rocks. So I need to do that before they really bud out so they can put their energy into growing some new shoots. I still haven't planted anything in this garden bed other than the drumstick alliums, and they are all just popping up along the edge here. So they're growing on just fine. Those are the ones that I forgot all over winter time. They sat in my shed without any protection. Probably got down below 0 at some point in there. And here we have some more daffodils and some more mess of Haconocloa grass that I need to get cleaned up. I did plant a firelight hydrangea right here. Oh, not firelight, a quick fire hydrangea right here that I grew from my cutting. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one grow on further this year. In this garden bed, I do need to trim back a couple of those stems. You can see they still have the old blooms on them. And then this spirea is a fire gold spirea, and it should have beautiful white blooms on it. It didn't bloom for me last year, and I moved it in the fall out to this location, but I think it's a beautiful spot for it, so I'm hoping it really likes it. And yeah, so we'll be watching that one this year for sure. Well, everyone, I hope you really did enjoy this video and getting outside and walking around to see what's coming up, because we do have a lot of things that are going to be beautiful soon, and I'm definitely going to be taking you around every week from here on out because it's going to start changing. Thanks so much, and I hope you're having a great spring so far. See you next time.